It's Thursday. What's going on, everybody? I'm Go Beer, Go Home. Welcome to Third Rail Thursday. Hopefully, you can all hear me. Give me a thumbs up or something. Let me know that you are there and that you do hear me. What's going on? We'll be getting started real soon, and I've got somewhat of a fun evening planned. And yeah, we're gonna play with some electronics, which should be fun until I zap myself, of course. No, well, I'm going to be showing you some lighting, some different techniques that I use for wiring, different things like that. And yeah, because there's been a lot of questions lately. How do I wire my layout? How do I wire this, wire that? So yeah, I'm going to show you basically how I do that. And I like to keep things simple. So it'll be something that you can do yourself. You can follow along, and we'll have fun. So, of course, as always, I do want to go through the chat and say hi to everybody who has taken the time to stop by tonight. You could be anywhere in the world watching anything else, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. Steve G, please give the cookie to James. Well, I can't give him a cookie because we do Timbits here, all Canadian, all day, every day. So we're going to do Timbits. If you're forfeiting your Timbit, I can forfeit it to James, but I don't even think James is here. We'll see. If not, Eminem will get the Timbit for tonight. Todd, how's it going, Todd? Brian Ferguson. Mike H.O. Trains, Floyd, how's it going? And Canadian Locomotive Logistics, how's it going? I just wanted to let you know that I'm working on a website for my small company that will allow people to register their layout for a remote operation session, which is really cool because if you guys saw one of the last videos I did of my last layout before I moved, I had a camera train running around it, which it does belong to Canadian Locomotive Logistics. So if that's something that you want to do with your layout, then definitely follow him and see what happens when you have your layout built and you have trains running around. Maybe you two can take part in that. That's going to be fun. Mike and Todd and Mike, Eminem, Brian from Inked Rails, how's it going? And I saw somebody else there. What's going on, guys? Awesome Possum, good evening. Mr. Dwight Curley, how's it going, Dwight? And we've got Joe Rader, how's it going, Joe? All right. Yeah, we normally do this thing every Thursday, unless you're Tim and you can call in sick anytime. Just kidding. Well, it was Tim's week last week, but he was busy. He was rather on the busy side. I normally do the second Thursday of the month. Eminem Rails does the third Thursday every month. And then we do the GBO After Dark if I'm not sick or it's not Halloween. Then, we come together and do that. Which, by the way, Mark, we have to figure out the end of the month because the last Thursday of the month is Halloween, and I will probably be monitoring my children as they trick and or treat. So we'll figure that out. James, how's it going, James? Dundas Junction. Welcome. All right. Well, this is going to be up James's alley because I'm doing some electrical tonight. It has been brought to my attention that I need to show how I do my wiring, and I will do that. So one of the major things that I'm working on right now, if you guys did miss it, which I don't think any of you did, every Saturday I do Rail Talk, which I work on kits, and I do that live. I'm currently working on something that is pretty big. It's pretty big. It's a big deal for me, anyways. It's the Walthers HO scale diesel house, but I'm not doing one. I'm not doing two. I'm doing three of them side by side by side, and I'm making one big facility. Yes, I've been working on it a little bit. Off air, off stream, because I'm not sure about these things and I want to do it properly. And I'm just going to show you. So I've kind of got these walls kind of worked out here. Whoop. And I got the glass in there, which is kind of cool. So that's just one side. But yeah, I've been working on it and pretty happy with it. The part that I'm on right now is adding lighting to under the walkways to light the entire bottom section, because before I built it up, I got to start from the bottom and go up. So this is kind of what I've got here. This is one of the walkways. And you can see I've got strips of LED lights on there. And this is the same LED strip lighting that I use to light my layout. And as a matter of fact, it's the exact same light strip that I used on my old layout. So I'm kind of recycling, saving money, because I saved all of it. And I'm going to use it on stuff like this. And I'm going to, of course, put it on the underside of my new layout as well. So I'll bring the camera over so you can see. And I've got a few things to show you in regards to lighting. And we'll go from there. Sorry. Okay. How does this go? Like this. Okay, perfect. So this is one of the bases here. I've gotten pretty far. I got all my little risers in there for the rails, and I've got a whole bunch. Like I've got my walkways. They have their safety striping on there, the yellow. Yep. So I have to wire this, and I've got you saw me pre-drill the holes for this thing. But before I get into the whole wiring side, actually I can just show you. So I always get a spool of this from Home Depot. Costs usually about $25 to $40. I know it's a big kind of jump there in price, but it's 100 feet and it's two-tone, red and white, which makes it very easy because I always refer to the red as the positive because red's my favorite color, and the white is the negative because negative is black and white, right? So that's how I remember all the time, every time. So when you're picking out your wire and you come across whatever wire you're going to use, just, set a standard. So you're red, positive, white, negative. So that's what I've kind of reached with my layout, and that's what I did with the last wire. And it's a decent gauge. I've got my strippers here that do a really good job of taking off the end or cutting the wire to length. So it's very important that you have a good pair of these as well. Dave actually got me this pair one year for Christmas, which bless him, because my old set was garbage. Now, one thing I do like to do when it comes to wiring under the layout, especially in a yard, you'll have like 8 tracks or 9 tracks or, whatever. So I use these strips here. And this is what I basically do. I do them as jumpers, right? I add a wire going from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, stuff like that. And this is all my negative, and then this is all my positive. So what I'll do is I'll post these up underneath the layout. And let's say I've got, 5, 6 tracks right above that I need to power. I'm going to have my feeders come down, and all my negative will go into this side. All my positive will go into this side. And then I can attach my bus line anywhere here, maybe in the middle, uh, and then it'll go on to the next set of these. And basically, as the bus goes around, it's going into these and it's feeding all my tracks up above. And that's always what I do. Sometimes it's not as many. Sometimes I'll do like half, or I'll do just two. It really depends on how many wires you need. I'm not going to put all this under the layout if I only have like one track, right? So there's you can get packs of these, and that's usually the biggest you'll find, or that I've found anyways. And yeah, you just use a little screwdriver to tighten it or loosen it. Very handy stuff. And I get like packs of these. Yeah, see, I got even more here. Got a whole bunch. And because it's just like a rubber plastic, it's a very soft plastic, they're very easy to cut. So you can do multiple little ones, or two medium-sized ones, either or. Now, as far as switches, and I do mean power switches, on and off switches, I do use these. I usually get a pack of like 5 or more. That's usually, they come in a pack of 5. And this is really great for when you isolate a track and you want to be able to say, okay, there's no power the entire time, and then you can power it on just by a flick of the switch. Looks good on the fascia because this is all you see in the little button or switch. And you can add an LED. I figured out how to add an LED, and I usually put it right above. And when you turn it on, the light comes on, and then, then there's power to that track. Another thing that you might need would be an on and on switch. So if you're on and on this way, or you're on and on this way, you're basically just going to reverse I believe it's reversing the polarity. So you're basically crossing your wires, and then if it's this, then yeah, I'll get into more of that later, but that's just another type of switch. I think they call it a double pull, double throw, because it's on. There's no off to it. Sometimes you can find one where it's off when it's in the very center, but this one doesn't seem to have a center to it. These are really good. You can use these. I think I've got a smaller version. I might not. Sometimes you can use something like that for a tortoise switch machine, where you flip it and then it turns one way, flip down, closes. So that's something that you can use for that. Something else I do use are the lights from the Just Plug system. And yeah, I love them because it does all the wiring for you. And you can adjust the brightness with these little knobs here. You plug your power into here. If you've got a control or a toggle on and off switch, you remove that, and then you plug it into there. And then you have the option for 4 LEDs. You can also expand on these by getting 4 of these, and then another one that's blue right across. So you plug all 4 of the red ones into a blue one. And then you can do that twice, where you can go blue hub to blue hub. And then in each blue hub, you can have 4 of these, which is really cool. And then, 4 plugs in each. So you can expand on that. There's so many more options. I'm just scratching the surface. I do have a video where I build an entire board with these and LEDs. So obviously make sure you go check that out if you're interested in learning more about the light hub system. Something like this here, when you're doing wiring, you always need an extra set of hands. My vision is whatever, so I don't really use the magnifying glass. But alligator clips, very important. And you can adjust these. It's good for holding the wire in place, or 2 wires, and then soldering them together. Very handy tool to have. Everyone should have one of those. Solder, which if you're doing lighting, definitely. This here has resin on the inside, so I find that it melts really, really easily. And it's very thin as well, so you don't have to worry about an excess amount of solder getting on your rail or whatever it is that you're doing, unless you really need it. And of course, this is my soldering one. I just got a new one because my other one, I had it. I think I did the layout, the last layout with one of these. I still have it, but I'm like, no, I want a new one with like a nice tip to it and whatnot. This has an on and off button, so when I see, you can see the red light is on there, so it's going to heat it up now, and you can adjust the temperature with that. So that's pretty cool. So I like that. I'm going to let that heat up for a minute while I'm doing a bit more here. So when it comes to doing the wiring here, what I plan to do, these strips, really neat. It's one long roll of just constant LEDs, and there's little connectors here. Basically, when you get the whole roll, it plugs into the wall. There's a little control on it where you can, dim the lights or turn them off, turn them on. So it's very handy. So that's what I'm going to have basically connected to one of these. I'm just showing you guys. So I'm going to have that connected to one of these because that's how I'm going to distribute the power to all the bays here, to every single one of these lights is, a positive and negative of one of these. So all I need to do is I'm going to have, there's little stands that stick into here right along to prop up the actual platform. So I got to kind of stick to the middle, and this hasn't really stuck down all that well because this is the second time I'm sticking it. So I've got my hot glue gun on standby just in case, of course, because you never know what's going to happen, right? So we'll see what happens. So the way that I got to do this, sorry, I'm going to need a bigger table soon. All right, so while that's heating up, I'm going to take some wire. Again, I saved all the wire from my last layout, and it was one of those things that you should always take into consideration, because that's a lot of wire. That's a lot of, anything that you can save to help you save, it should be good. And there was nothing wrong with this wire, personally, that would make this any less of a good connection. So first and foremost, I'm going to have to cut little connection wires. I've already stripped both ends. What I like to do is I like to put a bit of solder. I like to tin, they call it tinning. I like to tin both ends just to make sure that we've got something to stick to. So I use a tiny bit of solder here. Now make sure to go all the way around the wire to do a nice little coat. Soldering is one of those things that I never thought I would be okay at, just like most other electrical. But hey, it is what it is. You kind of learn as you go, and you don't have to be afraid of it. It's not really anything too daunting. Hey, Anthony, how's it going? Now, one thing to note here that you can see the shiny little tips at both ends here. I always make sure to cut because that's where you can cut. I've got a pole here that's going to go through that hole, so I needed to separate it. So that's why you've got 3 individual ones, because there's going to be a post that goes through there as well. Kind of a pain, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to put connector pieces going from there to there, there to there, and then there to there, and there to there. I'm going to attach a longer line on this end right here that's going to go through the actual base, and it's going to go underneath the whole building altogether. So once I connect these, then I can start adding the legs to it and whatnot, and then get it in place on the actual platform. Another thing to note, because we like to do things properly, when you look very carefully, and I don't know if you can see it, but because there's 2, one is your negative and one is your positive. So what are we going to do for positive? We're going to put the red wire from positive to positive, and we're going to do white wire negative to negative. And that's going to stay true all the way through, so that there's no discrepancies, no issues, no concerns, and we're going to keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid, as they like to say. And of course, I've got some trusty tweezers here because I've got all thumbs basically going on here. So I'm going to put a dash of solder on both of these connection points. Again, giving myself a little bubble that will hold the wire. And I think that looks really good so far. Cool. Okay. So now the positive is going to be the far one here. So we've got that there. And I want to take just a tiny bit off of this side here because that is way too long. So I just use my rail snip for that. It's not a huge deal. It's not gonna hurt anyone. I wish I could do this better. Here we go. Cool. So I'm going to show you just like that. So I'm avoiding the hole and I'm connecting positive to positive just like that. What I will do, I'm going to put a bit of hot glue over that, and that'll block out if like something metal happens to touch it. I really doubt it, but yeah, we'll see what happens. The gauge of the wire, I want to say it's 22, 23 gauge. Nope, 20 gauge. Yeah, it's 20 gauge. And yeah, it's not bad. And like, you know, I see some people put on some really thick wire. I guess if you're, you know, running a lot of power or whatever, but to be honest, for something like this here, or when I do my my bus line, I've been okay doing what I've been doing. So I don't ever feel like I need to change that. Do you have to add a resistor or no resistor? Because that's all built in to the little control panel that comes with this. So yeah, this is just when you buy those LED strip lights for you can get the ones for the room, like your room or whatever. It's kind of the same thing, but these ones were all white. And just in case you didn't catch it, these are the exact same ones that I used on my layout on the last layout. Tiny, it's neat, it's discreet. Tell your friends. No, it's again keeping it very simple, just doing a little wire that will make a big difference. And when you're because you never really look underneath, right? So when you see that, the light will shine down and it'll shine right across, and it'll look really, really nice. And with the fact that I can dim this as well, it's just icing on the cake. Because if it's too bright, it's not believable. It just has to be bright enough to give the guys some light so that they can, quote unquote, do work on the underside of the logos. The only annoying part of this, of course, is really just like the snipping of you know taking taking the ends off of the wire just to or stripping it, I guess you could say, stripping the ends. But you get into the habit of just the repetition behind this, and again, you pin both ends of the wire. By the way, I am totally aware that hockey starts tonight, and yeah, so I didn't expect a lot of people to be in the chat. That's why I didn't plan some, you know, massive thing like putting another hole in the wall. But, you know, I do have a couple more holes to put in the wall at some point. I'll do that on a night where there's no hockey. How does that sound? Sorry to ask, but I missed the beginning. What are you adding lights to? These are walkways. So this is the base to the Walther's diesel repair shop. And I'm doing 3 of them side by side to make one really big shop. And these are walkways that go just like this here. It goes like that right above, and then the locomotive or rail car comes in here, and they can go up here and do some maintenance or whatever. But I want there to be light underneath, so that's where this comes into play. We will do the red wire first. I've already added the whatchamacallit, stuff, solder, to kind of put it in place. Sends are 2-0. Must be something in those Timbits, boys. That's awesome. I wonder who are they playing. I don't keep track of stuff like that. I know I probably should, but I did see the transformer plant. It is really cool. I like the crane and the I hope they sell the crane and the platform separately. They do that sometimes. They'll do a kit. They'll do a big kit and then they'll sell certain parts of the kit individually. And I really hope they do that because yeah, that looks cool. This solder, obviously, you don't put it on thick, but it dries really quick. It cools, and like it took 2 seconds to do. Sometimes I also like to use shrink tubing when, especially if I'm using like a what are they called, resistor, and I'll cover it all with the shrink tubing, and that more or less just protects it. Boston 3, Montreal 2. And I'm going to guess that Ronald is hoping that Montreal catches up. Ryan is here for the fish. Leafs are winning 3-1. Who are the Leafs playing? Geez, there's so many games on tonight. Yankees. The Yankees are just winning. They're just winning at everything. I'm surprised that nobody's watching some of the many other live shows that are on tonight because there's so many on tonight. But again, grateful that everybody's here cheering me on. Like I'm the, I don't know, what's a team everybody likes? Sport, what's that? I know, right? Have fun at the match. The sport match. Okay, so as you can see, that was more or less quick and easy. I'm kind of all thumbs, but either way, the wiring, easy peasy. There's one last wire I do have to add, and I'm not sure how long I need, but because I am kind of like this is the first one, I'm going to set it as the standard for the building to make sure that I've got enough, underneath the layout. I'm going to just grab a piece here, a random piece from my wire box, because I have a wire box. And this is pretty good. This is probably about like 18 to 20 inches. And one end is already stripped for me. Thank you kindly. And I just got to tin those ends. I always give myself such a hard time when it comes to wiring because I'm not really a huge fan of it. I'm not amazing at it, but it's 20 gauge, Anthony, 20 gauge. So it's not too big, not too small. And it's just a single, like there's some wire that it's multiple wires and you can fray them and twist them together. This is just a single copper line running through this. So nothing too extravagant. But it's done well through everything. You guys have seen I can somewhat run trains on my old layouts, and I've used this for several years, several layouts over several years. And again, we want to go based off of where, let's see. Sorry if you can't see right now. Doing a delicate part here. Oh yeah, I've got tweezers for that. I'm like, why does my finger burn? Because you're not using tweezers, smart guy. Okay, here we go. Okay, I don't know if it's too soon to say voila or not, but yeah, that might be a doorbell wire. I mean, you might know. I don't. I wouldn't specifically say it's for a doorbell, but I mean, that's just me. Okay, hot glue gun. The same hot glue gun that I've been buying for years. Why? Because I'll buy one and it'll be good for a long time. But I've bought multiple because I've been doing the hobby thing for a long time. I get my hot glue gun from the dollar store because it's cheap and I can buy bags of refills for cheap. And I normally buy like 6 packs of glue and I put them in a little container, and that's my hot glue gun container. The one thing I hate about hot glue is the little spider web type things that come off of it, but you just got to make sure you get them all and make sure there's none going across your tracks, all that stuff, because you definitely don't want that to get wrapped around your wheels or anything. So you just got to be, very careful when you do that stuff. Anthony, stop yelling. Yeah, he always types very loudly. That's why it's always capitalized. That's okay. Now, this usually takes a minute or so for it to heat up, but that's okay because, it's hot glue. But yeah, that was literally one. Fortunately, I got to do this several more times. But I'm also going to do it on because you guys requested it. I wasn't going to do it, but you guys, you're pigeonholing me and saying, geez, you got to do it. So I'm going to do it. So this is the skinny walkway. There's one on each wall. So yeah, I got to do 2 of these. It's somewhat sticking, but at the same time, it's not sticking. So I'll put some hot glue on here right off the bat just to hold that down as well. But again, lights, it'll light up another, like it's going to be way back here, right? And then there's one right here as well. So lots of lights under. I think I'll worry about the above lights after. I don't know if I'm going to add them or not. I don't know yet. It seems so far away to be worrying about the above lights that I can't be bothered with it right at this moment, where I have to do this in order to continue on, if that makes sense. So we'll see what happens, but yeah. Another thing you'll have to notice is that there's two openings. There's one here and one here. That is way wider. It's a bigger hole than that one, and it has to go a specific way on your platform there, or on this. So you got to make sure that the smaller hole is closer to the back, and the bigger hole is closer to the front. That's your other tip there. You're welcome. So along with this, now because I did the whatchamacallits, the lights on this already, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add the little legs to this thing because I can, and that'll be another thing that I do here. But I'll mostly be doing the lighting, I promise. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so I need a whole sprue for this. And I think I painted at least 90% of the kit so far. I mean, sure, yeah, there's like weathering and whatnot that still has to happen, but I'm getting there. I'm totally getting there. Okay, so first and foremost, I just want to cover up these wires here with a bit of glue so that, again, nothing goes on them and creates a short at all. And I'm also going to put a little bit of glue right along the side of the strip so it does not come loose. It's not going to affect how the actual light works. This is just to hold everything in place. And I'm putting it thin enough that it doesn't hang down below and disturb everything. So you won't even know it's there. Now, some other things that I do want to do as well with this kit, as far as lighting, is I definitely want to put lights on the front door. Now, when I was talking about this previously, obviously red means don't go in because, whatever, there's a locomotive there. The bay's like, full. Green means, you're good to go. And then Perry had mentioned a yellow light as well, which means like men at work or whatever, which is cool too. I don't know if I'm going to add all three lights or if I'm just going to do a red and a red and a green light. I haven't decided yet. We'll see what happens. But there you go. So I put hot glue right along the edge. That's not coming off. I've got my wires, red and white, and then here's my long one that's going to go through, and it's going to connect to, the power supply. But yeah. Anthony's asking, are you going to use code 83 in the shop? I am going to use code 100. And I guess I could have just said I'm going to use code 100. But there's a whole thing that I'm going to do with this too. So I got Flex Track, which it's 3 feet long, right? Or no, sorry. Yeah, 3 feet or 1 meter. I guess that's the same thing. And I cut it in half, which is 18 inches. And then basically what I do with this, because all these ties have to come off of here. Unfortunately, I got to remove all these ties, and I just got to use the rail. So in order to keep them the same length, to make sure that it's solid on the front, I'm attaching, and I'm going to solder them to this 3-inch piece of Atlas, track. It's just piece track, whatever you want to call it. So the rails will be the exact same right on the front, and that'll be like over here. That'll be out front. But this here, which is about 16 or 17 inches long, the rails are just going to go to the back door because this is going to be up against the wall. So there's already a little bit of an overhang down here, and then there's going to be these pieces which are going to kind of hold it in place, and I can add my wiring to this to power each track. And yeah, that's how I'm going to do that. So I hope that answers your question. If you're wondering why I put the piece of tape here, it's to let me know that this end here is the snipped end. So this is going to be at the back end. And I did that with I think I got about 10 pieces because I've got 9 ports. So I had to cut, several tracks just to do that. And I'm sure that's something I'll do at some point and connect these. But I wanted to do the wiring for this first, just to make sure that it will work. Now I just want to double check here. Where's my yeah. Okay, so that's how it goes. So I've got to connect all of these. I've got to put a little piece of glue and glue each one of these in place, just like that. So make sure that that's flat. Good. And for this, because I'm using painted item to non-painted item, I'm going to use some of this glue, and it just pops right in there because there's already little squares that let you know where they go. See? Of course, I'm going to be back on Saturday to do the next big thing on here, but today I specifically just wanted to do these walkways because they are going to be such a pain, long term, because there's so many, and I only have so much time to work on this, and I don't want to do this forever. I want to be able to finish it. Oops. Also, big shout out to those of you who sent me links to different detail companies who make certain things. I was looking through, and I found a lot of cool options for things that I want to put in or on or around this building. So I'm very excited about that. I have to order some cool stuff. Russ is rocking O and HO trains and stuff. What's the in stuff? I'm just joking. But and it's trackside Mike. How's it going? Mark has to dip, needs to walk. Lily looks good. Thank you. We'll be on Eminem's channel next week. Yeah. Happy Valley Hobbies. How's it going? Who's all going to Springfield in January? Who's all going? I'm excited. I'm so excited. I know I talk about it all the time. It's just because I had such a great time. Got to see Happy Valley Hobbies and hung out with Trackside Mike all weekend long. He's a cool dude. I'm glad he's not working anymore. Well, he still works, but not right now. Timothy's hoping to go. Make sure you stop by the Otter Valley booth. Mike and I usually hang out there. Walthers sells single packs of code 100, 83, and 70. Yeah, I like the Pico track though. That's just how I am. I just prefer Pico. James really likes the Walthers track. It's a bit more, but he says he really likes it. I personally grew up on Atlas. Atlas was the one that I, kind of started off with, and then even when I started building layouts 10 years ago, because shameless plug, but it's my 10-year anniversary on YouTube, and you'll probably be hearing about that for a long time, at least a year anyways. And yeah, I was using whatchamacallit, Code 100 Atlas, and then I started going to the club, and they were using Code 83 Pico, and I'm like, wow, that's like a huge difference right there. There's nothing against Atlas. Atlas is still cool. But yeah, it just seemed like visually it just seemed way more realistic. So then at some point when I started building the next layout after that, it just kind of took off from there. The one thing I've always told myself, I'm always like, okay, next layout, I'm going to do code 100 on the main line, and then code 83 in my sidings and, industries. And then I never end up doing that. I was going to do that on my last layout, never did it. I got lazy. I said, well, let's do the whole thing in code 83. And that's probably going to happen here too. Only everything will be code 100. But we'll see what happens. I might change it up and do the code 83 on the sides. But this one here for the rail shop, definitely code 100. Anyone try Tillig tracks? I've never heard of that. Tillig's tracks. Does Rapido make track? No, Rapido does not make track. Do you guys remember when Rapido made telephone poles? There's a question for you. Do you remember when Rapido made telephone poles? I use Atlas code 83 for my HO. I use Atlas 21st Century for my O. I love Atlas. Atlas is great. Again, nothing against Atlas, but like I like to try different things and see what works. And I just find that Pico works well for me. I hate their numbering system for their turnouts. 83 is okay, but code 100 they do it by small, medium, or large. And I mean, like that works for beverages, but it does not work for turnouts. So, yeah, you got to do something about that. John remembers Rapido telephone pole. I think he's the only one who remembers. Isn't that such a weird thing for? I mean, probably not, seeing how they've done like uncouplers and switch machines as well. But like, telephone poles. It's so weird. What they call them? There was like super duper, totally wired telephone poles. That didn't last too long either. And I use Atlas code 83 also. Nice, nice. The slot in the floor, you don't need any ties, just slide the rail. True. Well, you got to glue it down. It's this one here, it's not going to hold it in place. You have to glue the rail down, unfortunately. Voila. Actually, there's two more here, but it's very close to this ramp, and I really hope it doesn't glue the ramp. Because I need to be able to move that. It's got to fit. I just had to put it there because half of the LED strip is like on it. So, okay, hopefully that does not stick to that. I sold a set of the telephone poles at a show. The guy who bought them was very happy he found them. Huh. Yeah, I don't think there's too many of those floating around. And when I was at Rapido, I don't remember seeing any boxes there either. I think that was one of those things where it was very short lived. But when you need more, it's like, what do you do? Right? Not much you can do. So this is going to be a pain because, and I'm going to tell you why. Every single one of these little legs here, because they're basically legs, they all have a little pin. It's like a little pinhole or pin thing right there, and it goes into the hole that's on the thing here. So it's going to really suck, more or less, trying to get every single one of these, because there's 22 of them, because there's 11 on each side, into every single hole. So now you guys remember that I put a hole in the platform here. So I'm going to fish these two wires through. Something like this. I wish I had extra hands. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. No, we're fine. We're fine. Oh. And let me tell you, these little supports here, all 400 of them, yeah, still not done putting them on like all three of the things. So, yeah, there's that I have to contend with. Not completely thrilled, but whatever. It is what it is. Okay, so I might suffer a little bit here. So if I say anything incriminating, my bad. But it's just this thing being a pain. So far, so good. Does everybody else have this much trouble doing this? Well, holy moly. What? Yeah, I wonder if there's an easier way. You don't lift up at that end now. What are you doing? And then they all come out. Well, that's fun. I love that for me. Okay, well, let's try this the other way. Let's try it this way. Because the wire's down here, and that's being a pain. See, why does it keep lifting up? It's like you put it in. Okay, well, that one fell off. I don't remember the last one being this difficult. Oh my gosh. This is painful and a half. Okay. There's two. Okay. So this is a very frustrating part. Mostly because the legs don't want to line up with their respective dots. And when you do line them up, it's like you add one and another one comes out of the hole. So there's a lot of that going on here. Okay, so, well, kind of makes me want to turn it upside down like this, and then glue all the little legs into the holes instead and go from there. So I do this instead and then figure out the rest as I go. Yeah, the instructions, I don't know, they're not really helpful in a case like this. They don't really, as far as what I've seen, it doesn't say to do one thing over the other. It just says this goes in this hole, give it your all, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, kind of painful. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. So that's what I'll do. I will glue them into these holes. And then I will sit the platform on top. I just thought it would be easier. Yeah, right. I thought it would be easier. Silly me. It's fine. It's fine. No worries. It just didn't work out how I wanted it to. The legs of this thing wasn't really the key focus of tonight, but it's definitely going to give me the hardest time, which is fine. Again, I'm not worried. But again, it's very, not easy, as they say, or not as easy as it looks. Because you've got these tiny little pinholes, and then each little leg has to go into those little pinholes. And I don't know if it's easier to do that than it is to put them upside down in the little squares that are on the underside of this. But we'll find out. We will find out for sure. Yes, and people say they learn a lot, and it's probably because I make a lot of mistakes. But that's okay, because I know I'm not perfect. I'm sure by the time I do the third one, I'll be able to fly right through it. Third time's the charm, right? At least the wiring was easy. I would like to at least get these big platforms in tonight, because then that leaves not much to do Saturday. I mean, I'll have to still wire the other things, but it doesn't, the side things don't have these. I'm going to have to put up the side walls to do that. So I'm not really in a rush to do the side ones yet, because there's lots of detail and whatnot that need to be done in the center, in the main area, before I start adding walls. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for a minute, let those dry, and I think I will wire the next one, because I just need a little bit to dry. All right. So I'm going to do this one the exact same way. Okay, so doing more wiring. I laid them out. These ones are the exact same, where I've got the red on one side and the white on the other. So it'll make wiring this basically almost the exact same. And again, it's all about repetition here. You just do it, if you do it one way in one place, do the same thing all over, and then you shouldn't have any issues. I mean, there's no confusion or nothing. Also, this weekend is Canadian Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving, early Thanksgiving to everyone and their families. I know, I think the US one is in November. I want to say it's in November. Hot shot 9,000. Yeah, because you might see me get burned or something here. You never know. You never know. So when I look at the bottom, that side should be positive, which it is, and then I can do this. Whoops. Oh my gosh. See again. Remember? All thumbs. Again, voila. I'm going to cut another wire here. If you guys want to take a moment, because there's a lot of talented people in this chat right now. One thing I've noticed with certain lives is that YouTube will set it up so that you can only see the top chat. You can't see everybody in the chat, which is kind of weird. So make sure that you choose all, like everyone in chat. That way you can obviously see everybody. You get to see everybody's comments at that point. And then, of course, for those of you who have channels currently and you're active on your channels and you're doing stuff and you have projects on the go and you've got a layout, you do layout updates, all the stuff like that. If you have something that you want everybody to see, then you're definitely more than welcome to put the link to your channel in the chat. And then everybody take a moment. If you see anybody that you are not subscribed to, then make sure you give everyone else a follow, because that's how we grow as a community. Well, there's live chat, but then when you go into the settings, it's for the for the actual chat itself. It'll either say top chat or all. I had that same issue, the exact same issue this morning when I was on Dave's live, and once I put it to all, because it was on top chat, I started seeing a lot more people that wasn't showing up before. And that's happened with other channels as well. And then there was people that couldn't see me chatting. So then once you change it to all chat, then you start seeing even more people and they can see you. So just a tip for everybody as well, whenever you go into a live. James and Mike do a live every Monday. You guys aren't too familiar. I covered for them this past Monday because James is out of town, and Mike's schedule is crazy. So yeah, I was doing off the tracks Monday this past week, which was lots of fun. It's different doing a live on Monday. I'm used to the Thursday thing, so that was interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure what top chat actually means. Like, are these people that are, you know, top commenters on the channel? They comment more than other people. That shouldn't be held against you whether you comment more than others, but apparently it's a thing. So it's, that's why I like to let you guys know, right? That's not just based off of my channel. That's everybody's channel at that point. So if you've ever been chatting and you wonder why someone can't see you, or you can't see them, but you see that they're obviously talking in the chat, it's not because they've blocked you, or they don't subscribe to you. It's just because there's top chat, and then there's, I mean, they might have blocked you, but I don't think there's anybody here in particular that would be one of the people that would get blocked. We just sharing the hobby here. That's all we do. Chris, do you have any updates on your Go Loco Perry is doing for you? Yes, it has an identity. It has the road number on it, and it has other identification markings. But he is going to do a light weathering on the locomotive for me as well. Very nice of him to do that. And basically, I had requested small amount of weathering, like fuel tank and just the underbody stuff, the pilot on the front, or plow, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, fuel tank, wheels, trucks. They did look great. Absolutely. That's why I trust Perry. Perry does a really good job, and he's done a bunch for me already. My steamer, my ONR Ghost unit, or not my steamer, my Diet Pepsi, I should say. Yeah, you did my Diet Pepsi logo. I like to do custom paintings as well, but certain things I don't trust myself enough, and I want it to look good. I want it to look better than good. I want it to look like really, really good. Ridiculously good looking. Yeah, James is getting one done too. I do the unauthorized, only get sidetracked Sunday pre-show. Nice. Perry needs to do the same tonight. Oh, you're getting the light weathering too? That's cool. Yeah, that might be because I know work has been busy for him, so I don't like to bug him. I'm like, I want to see pictures, all that stuff. I really do, but at the same time, I don't want to like pressure him and stress him out at the same time, because sometimes it's like that where you get like a customer and they stress you out. I don't want to stress them out. Painting locomotives should be fun. It shouldn't be stressful. The hobby itself shouldn't be stressful. Sometimes it is, no doubt, but it shouldn't be. Okay, I'm going to snip that. Just finding more wire here, so then Harry needs to do the same to mine. You need to let him know. Oh, I need to let him know? James, shouldn't that have been a conversation you had with him? Did you not talk to him? I think I gave, which one? I gave him your email or something? Or did I give you his email? I know you're not on the socials like we're on the socials. Like we're on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, but you don't do Facebook and Instagram. So that I understand. I think the weathering stuff is extra though. Do you? I don't know how much extra it is, but that's why you have to have a conversation with him about that. I can mention it to him. Did you want it done exactly like mine, where it's like just a little bit of dirt? Wheels, fuel tank, and pilot. Because there's some I seen there. The nose is all like dirty and all that stuff. You don't want the real dirty. You just want the lightly messed up. Have a great night, Floyd. Thanks for coming out. You want to see mine first, and then that's fair. That's totally fair. Yeah, because if you don't know, then you don't know what you're getting yourself into. So that's definitely understandable. So that's another one wired up there. Turn that off, and we're gonna get the hot glue gun going again here. Hopefully you guys can see okay. I know it's like I keep putting my hand in front and whatnot. I'll tell him not to untape yours then, Because he said that weathering it is easier to do while it's taped or something, which I'm not sure exactly what he means by that. Um, but I know he knows what he's talking about, so that's the important part. Okay, so if this way works where I glue all these down, at least when I go to do the other platforms, I will do the exact same thing where I will um, glue them all the little stands in first, all 22 of them. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 22. I mean 44. So there's 44 of those per thing. So yeah, I'll have to do all that first. Taped windows? No, I didn't tape any windows. I actually used white glue, which is nice because now my windows don't frost. They're very clear. So what I did was I used the clear piece first and I attach it on the back, and then I run white glue around the seam of it, put some weight on it, let it dry. Takes a while, but it works. And then on the front, you kind of have to shave this plastic piece down. It's it's a corrugated, or I don't know, little square things. Anyways, that you have to cut a little piece off in order for it to fit because it's really snug. It's almost too snug. And then once that's in place, then you put a little glue around the edge as well again, and then that dries. Yeah, just using the white glue. Oh, really? You had to come off? Gosh. Okay, let me have to put the solder back on here. Thought I soldered it. Well, guess not. This one's a bit more tough, apparently. One tough customer. Oh, taped windows to keep weathering off the locomotive. Yeah. Yeah, like the masking tape. I'm not sure where exactly he tapes off, but I'm sure that he blocks it in a way where you're just doing the underside of the locomotive. I know he sometimes even takes the wheel sets apart just to do the rust on the inside of the wheel, so it's easier to get at them. So there's that as well. If I can get these two walkways in, I will do the rail. And I'll show you how I'm going to do the rail. And I can do all three. But I got to get the walkway in first. Okay, there we go. Much better. Hot glue. my knife is here. Okay. I'm curious about this. I'm curious to see if this will work. I hope it will. And then I probably got to put something on top of it to hold it in place. I really have no room here. Okay. Well, maybe it'll sit flat, more or less. Okay, that seems okay. That seems a lot better than the first time I did it. It was a heck of a lot easier. One thing here left to do. That's this. And then I got to do another one on this side, which would go right here. Okay, so I got a bit of glue on that. Yeah, that was definitely a lot easier than attaching them to the top end of that first. Do I have something heavy to put on there? I don't know, this is kind of heavy. That'll do. It'll have to do anyways. Okay, so I'm going to cover this in the glue. That's good. Cover this in the glue. What are your thoughts on Proto 2000 series locomotives? Yeah, the gears are not that great. I've owned a couple, and they didn't wow me. They did not wow me at all. I think that if they make something that no one else makes, like if you're looking for a shell or something, take the shell and put it on a different chassis, which might sound like a waste of chassis, but I've even heard of people getting replacement gears from like Athearn and using those instead, but I don't know. I've always been a stickler for stuff like that, where when you're paying X amount of dollars for something out the gate, it better work. That's all I got to say. Because there's nothing worse than buying a locomotive and it doesn't even do its one function, the thing that it's meant to do, and that's get from point A to point B. If it don't do that, I'm not happy with it. And I wouldn't expect anybody else to be happy about it either. Also, it's really hard to find certain locomotives from Proto. Like some are easier to find than others, but I find that they're all really difficult, especially for like what I run. You're very limited. Okay, so again, we did the whole thing, wired it, glue, covered the connection point there, and we got a long wire here that'll go in and through the whole thing here. I want to see if I can turn this around so I have access to the other side. This wire is a heck of a lot longer, but that's okay. I'll trim it. So again, we've got the other side here that we're working with. Those wires are going to be annoying, but once I get them on a flat piece of wood, and those are going through, that won't be such an issue. I've never seen an undecorated GP9. Are you looking for high nose or low nose? Because if you just want a really good running GP9, get one of the Rapido CN ones, or wait for the CP ones, and then see if you can find an undecorated one from that, or buy one and then just repaint it.
That would be your best bet.
But if you want like a high nose or low nose, like that, it's gonna vary as to what you're doing. I used to have an O&R Jeep 9 high nose. You have to add the detail parts yourself and whatnot. It comes as DC only, so that's annoying. And then the weight that's on the inside, it leaves absolutely no room for a speaker. So I had to use like a metal hacksaw and chop out part of the metal weight that's on the inside just to be able to fit the speaker in there. Not a fun situation. So Rapido already came out with the Jeep 9 CN, and then there's also a slug. So you can get either the noodle or you can get the zebra with the stripes. The CP ones have already been announced. Early tooling samples have arrived, but they've not gone into production yet. CP is a little bit different. They don't have slugs. So there's a Jeep 9. I think it's a Jeep 9. It's considered Jeep 9. And then there's a switcher with it. I honestly don't like the CP one, as much as the CN one. The CN one looks way cooler, especially because it comes with the slug. And up until now, you could only get a slug by that brass company, Overland Models. So once I make some purchases as far as detail parts for this, I'll post the links and whatnot as to where I get the things from. I also have some stuff from Mini Print still that I'm probably going to consider using with this if I can. I know that I've got a scissor lift, and you can use the low, medium, or high scissor with it. So if I end up using that, which I probably will, obviously I'll let you know where it's from. I end up going with. It's been done in O scale, the Christmas train. I don't think they would sell as many of them as you would hope. It seems like a very niche thing because of what you would need. But if anybody could, boxcar wise, because they're box cars that like that they use. I'm pretty sure the Aurora ones are the closest. So they probably could. I remember a time before DCC. Ed, did you used to have that whatchamacallit thing, the log dumper thing, where you pull up to it and then you have to tilt the thing and then it dumps the logs into the car? Did you have that? I feel like you did. I had the thing where when the train rolls over the crossing, the arms, the crossing things go down, but then as soon as it drives off of it, they go right back up, and it's just spring loaded. That's classic. Or those foam mountains where it's like hollowed out styrofoam, and it's usually painted green on the sides, and then the farther up you go, it's white. There's the white caps to it. I had one of those as well. Actually, I had a train from Canadian Tire. Canadian Tire put out like a holiday set at one point. It was a steam locomotive. You got a couple of plastic cars with it. Why haven't you got there? There is a trackside mic. When you buy the pump cart, the old fashioned, where you'd hold on to it and you go like this, and then the person on the other side goes like this as well. He's the character that is doing that. I did get scanned, but it was I wasn't a big fan of my scan. So the first one, there was something wrong with the first one. I can't remember what exactly was wrong with it. And then I had it redone, and that was like a year and a half ago. It was redone, and I was going to do a thing where when you buy one, the proceeds go to a local cat rescue because my mini was holding a cat. The problem is that you can't scan a person holding a cat because the cat moves too much and all that. So I had to hold what looked like a stuffed animal. And the print looked like I was holding a stuffed animal. So I wasn't completely thrilled with how it looked and how it turned out. So I called that off. Yeah, I just wasn't a fan. I know. It's like when you're doing something for charity, it shouldn't really matter. It's just like the charity thing that matters. But at the same time, I had so much going on. And yeah, I don't know. Just wasn't really a big fan. If it's something like that where you're putting your name on it or your face or whatever, you have to be happy with it. You can't do something just for the sake of doing it. Well, I can't anyways. A taxidermy cat? I don't think I'd be able to do that. There's certain things that just can't stomach. Yeah. Well, hang on to that thought, Anthony, because never say never. Because at some point I'm sure it'll happen. But again, if you're ever going to put your name on something, you just got to make sure that you're happy with it. I don't want to sound particular, but sometimes you got to be. Now all I got to do is let this dry. Hopefully I don't have to hold this down the entire time. Jeez. Is that even touching something? So, put that like that. And that moves over that way. There we go. And that needs glue or something. Light sleeping pill? Yeah, I don't know. Any kind of anesthesia with animals? I mean, first off, I don't think it's something that's like readily available to the public. But there's always a risk when you do something like that. Not a risk I'm willing to take, unfortunately. But Would this loco house not be a good place to clean the wheels on the loco? Do you mean like putting like the pad thing in there? It's just a makeshift, you know, maintenance shop. It's not really you know, a tool uh, to do something like that. I do have tools for that though, for cleaning wheels and whatnot. But that is a good question. Okay. So, I mean, that wasn't as hard as what I thought it would be, but at the same time, I also tried it one way, it didn't work. Tried it another way, it was a little bit better, more or less. I'm gonna do the 3 tracks for this one. I'm gonna show you how I do that, and then we'll see what's next. So I'm going to push that back. There we go. Okay, so we got the Pico. This is Pico code 100, and then I've got Atlas code 100. Just gonna go ahead, open that up. I've got a couple more in my cart. I don't have enough to do all 11 or 9 tracks as of right this second. I'm gonna have to clean this desk off at some point because I've got so much stuff just laying around in parts and whatnot. Oh my gosh. Okay. I've got garbage. There's like a, what are they called? Bits. You know, and stuff and things. Okay. So first things first, with Atlas track, this is just a piece of Atlas straight track. I don't like this last tie here. I really don't, because of how that looks. So I'm going to see if I can take that off. Cool. So take that piece off. I'll replace it with a regular tie later, but of course got to do both sides because both sides are like that. And I know it's more to hold the joiner in place, but with something like this here, I'll be able to make sure it's okay. It's not a huge deal to me, not a deal breaker, as they say. But I am wondering about these joiners, and I'm wondering if the joiner will work with the Pico, and it will. So I'm good there. I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to take off the last tie here as well. Keeping it clean. And then I'm going to take, because you get 8 of these little rail joiners here. Oh gosh, this is not cut. That's snip, snip. Come on. Okay, there we go. Alrighty. So we've got the rail, and it's going to go on, or the joiner. It's going to go on to the Atlas piece. We're going to go halfway. 1 and 2. And then we're going on the clean end. Got a clean end and a good end and a bad end of this thing here. So, okay. So there you go. So that's with the rail joiners on. And then now I just got to solder it. It's going to keep it nice and straight. And of course, for those who don't know, who've never soldered before, do not solder on the inside, only solder on the outside. And my solder thing isn't even on, so that's not going to work. Now it's on, so I got to let it heat up for a minute there. Also, I always solder on a straight. So no matter what you're doing, always solder your tracks straight. Willow Creek, how's it going? We'll be wrapping up here soon. Just making some track here, some rails for my my industry, or my, it's not really an industry, I guess. It's more of a, just a diesel shop still. Okay. So we're heating up the rail, heating up the rail. Cool. It does what it's supposed to. And of course, we'll do this side now. There's no discrepancy between the Atlas and the Eco here, so that's good. Now I will want to file that after, but okay. Okay, so what we've done, we've attached this solid piece here, and typically the ties are stuck to the rail on these. They don't really move. You can remove the ties from them, but they don't really move otherwise. These will move, but with this particular thing here, because we gotta remove a good chunk of these. So let's see for a second here. So I mean, I could have left 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think the last 4 here, I'm just gonna leave on. I'll slide them up. Maybe I should do something a little bit closer. How far did I get? That's not a big deal. I almost hate to remove ties from the rails, but I save all these anyways. I've got a bin specifically just for extra ties. And oh, it's really just 4, eh? Okay. Let's do that then. And I'm just removing all these. I know it's such a terrible waste, but you gotta break a few eggs to make a decent omelet. And I love omelets, so no problem. Okay, so here we go. So I removed it all. I put 4 at the front here. Hopefully I can stick this on here without needing to take off more. Oh no, that'd be good. Oh, maybe one more. Yeah, I gotta lose one more. Shoot. Well, no, you know what? That's good. I don't mind that. Eh. Yeah, let's just remove a tie. It's probably easier. Okay, so let's do the 3. All right, so there we go. So, yeah, when you have that in there, looks pretty good. Goes flat to the back, and then it just goes right along all these little elevation pieces, and then it just sticks out the front. Hey, Papa John, how's it going? So I think, should I glue that? I think I should glue it. Why not glue it? Also, I did put a bit of silver on the tops of these things that hold the rails in place. And because, obviously I painted them white, but I didn't want them just like flat white. So I added a bit of silver detail to them. And I'm just using my regular glue. This is super strong glue. It'll hold the rail. So other than putting something heavy on there just to kind of weigh it down, which I'm going to do, I think that looks pretty good. It's also a good thing I don't work tomorrow. So just snip that, take that off of there. We're just doing this again here. Cool. And rail joiner. The Atlas ones, the Atlas rail joiners are actually not too bad. I find that there's some where it's so difficult to get them onto the rail. It's ridiculous. And you end up like stabbing your finger and cursing the entire time. So needless to say, this is a nice surprise. I put white paper on each side of the joint to keep the plastic ties from melting. I don't have it too hot, but I have it hot enough that it, it would still burn meat, but it's not melting any ties. So that I'm okay with. Okay, those are very clean connections there. I don't know if this solder thingy is considered a low temp solderer, but yeah, it's not heating up the it only heats up the spot that you're touching, and it definitely melts the solder. And I think it's either resin or there's flux on the inside, so it spreads really easily. It's very handy. This actual solder here, the original stuff that this one here, I've been using. I got like 2 or 3 rolls of it, and I did my entire last layout. And I mean, I don't use a lot. You don't have to use a lot. But that was a full roll at some point. Okay, with that, that's good. And I have 3, so I gotta leave 3 tracks. So I'm gonna snip it there, and then unfortunately remove all of these ties. Let's see if I can. Isn't that always the way, Papa John? We end up cleaning and then end up making another mess just by cleaning. It's crazy. I tell you, this Code 100, the rail is like so solid compared to 83. Again, nothing wrong with 83. I used it on my last layout. It worked fine. I just like the look of the higher rail, but yeah. Can't wait to see all three of these kits side by side, because that'll look cool. Okay, so there's another one, and I'm going to do one more while I've got my solder on here. My iron. So I wonder if I should just stick those other ones to the wall. So much to do, so little time to do it in. Did you plan on painting the rail as well? But I'll do it once it's attached and all that. Thanks. So for the yellow lines, there's two versions of that. One right along the outside of the rails, and then safety lines along the side, and I even did the front part of the walkways. I was looking at prototype photos, and it's somewhat accurate, and they don't seem to be as safety conscious as I'm trying to be, I guess. But usually the yellow striping on the ground, that's normal for areas like that, especially with, the trains that'll roll through there. So what I'm thinking as far as the lights on the front, I might just do red and green lights for each doorway. And I've got a bunch of green lights that I had on one of my old buildings, so I can go ahead and I can use those. My problem is, I want to be able to turn them off and on as per, whatever I'm using. So I think if I make the control panel accessible for the lights, opposed to having just an on and off button, I'll be able to turn the green light up and turn the red light off in that way. So like bay 1 would be control panel 1, bay 2, control panel 2, and then go from there. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of light switches that'll be right on the front of the fascia. But unless I can figure out another way to have these LEDs, but individually turn off and on, red or green per bay door, then I'm kind of stuck. And I can do it as a bunch of individual on and off switches as well. That's always a possibility. But that sounds like a lot of work as well. Oh, shoot. I have to leave a couple. Okay, I'm going to take those off. And then I want to add 3. I'll have to come up with something soon because, I'm going to have to wire the walls eventually here. So stay tuned for that. thing will be so wired up. It'll be 50% plastic, 50% wire. Got to live up to the go big or go home kind of theme of this year. If I don't do that, then, you know, why would I call myself that? Solder pen is moving? Yeah, it's kind of, it's on the edge there, so it doesn't, like, I don't have much room to work with right at the moment, but yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. I really hate wasting all these ties. But like I said, hopefully they're not wasted. I can use them somewhere else in the layout. Okay, so I've got 2 more rails here. I'm going to do that later. Because I've already done lots. You know, these are in, that one rail is in. Is this turned off? Yeah, it's turned off. Yeah, soldering iron wasn't even on. Thank goodness. So I'm going to unplug that and start cleaning up. Will this rail house get sound? Now you're pushing it. Whatever locomotive is going in it or coming out of it will be the sound that it makes. I'd love to get one of those little, you see them, I don't know who makes it, but there's a little guy and he, it looks like he's soldering or welding something. So I was looking at my soldering iron when I said that. He's a welder and he's like down and he's holding, and then it's a light. It's a little blue light and it flickers, kind of like obviously a welder. I'd love to get that and put him in here somewhere. I don't know where I'd put him or even how to wire that, but I'd have to learn. That'd be cool, but yeah, as far as sound in there, I doubt it. Just for the fact that there's already going to be, you know, lots of other things going on here with it. I guess I can remove that now. But yeah, so I've got 2 more rails to add here. And looks good so far. I've got the walls already all done, except for the front and back doorways. And this is just one. I also have the poles, what are they called? The supports. They go up. They give me a little bit of height here. Those will go in next, most likely. They hold up walls and they hold up the ceiling rafters and whatnot. So they'll go in next. They're already painted. You can get a great circuit with a bright blue and glowing red LED to simulate welding from Clive at. Well, yeah, but that's in the UK though. I mean, if he has like an online store, possibly. But I'd have to see. I don't normally shop in the UK. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just don't normally. I buy local or when I go to a train show. If I see it at a train show. Sorry for the bouncing around here. Yeah, I love the look of the locomotive between the walkways. And then, of course, yeah, there's another one back there, but we'll see what I can come up with because I still have lots more to go, but at the same time, only so much time to do it in. And as for painting, I did all the painting, well, 90% of it in a week. And the next day it started getting cold. So, yeah. And I still got a bit more painting to do, like spray painting wise. I had miscounted a couple of things. So, yeah, there's more that I need to take out and spray. Hopefully tomorrow's nice. If it is nice enough tomorrow, I'm going to get it over and done with because it's my day off. So what better than to spend your day off spray painting, right? I shop from the world if my local shop does not have the the item and you're in Sweden. Yeah. Um yeah, like I've seen them, and there's a company, I can't remember the name of it. They were at the Springfield show last year, and they buy a lot of the Walthers vehicles, and then they do up all the LEDs on them. Uh, Mike had shown some of them, right? You get like the truck lights up. Then you've got the little pylons in the back of the truck. They all have lights on them. Yeah, you can really bring everything to life with that stuff. They're pretty detailed too. They look really good. Um, I can check to see if they have a welder, and I can add it later. Hopefully, if I have access to the inside of this. If I don't, it's not a big deal. West or East Coast circuits, that could have been them. That sounds very familiar. Yeah, that sounds very familiar. Um, but yeah, I can always check to see if they would technically be local to me, so I can always check to see if they have any, and then go from there. Um, but yeah, that's it. I kept you long enough. It's 10:30 my time, and Third Rail Thursday again. Every Thursday we go live, whether it's myself, Tim, or M&M Rails. If it's not one of us, it's the other. Every Thursday, and then of course I'll be back on Saturday, which is literally in a couple of days, to do even more of this because it's actual Rail Talk. And then I always build kits live on Rail Talk. So I'll be building way more of this kit, adding the other ones. You're going to see this huge thing come together. And I'm so excited to, do something like this because it's been a while since I've done like a big project, and I think this has taken more precedence than even the actual layout itself. But I'm still working on that. I'm still, chipping away here and there. And yeah, I do I ever sleep? Do I need it? Nah. I do sleep. I work. I work a lot. My scheduling now is, I find it's worse than what it used to be, because I would have, from the moment I wake up, which 9, 10, right up until 4 o'clock, I'd have nothing to do. So I would just be in the train room working away, and that was it. Now I work 10 to 6. When I finish at 6, it's normally dinner, and then normally after dinner I wind down. I don't do anything else. So I find that I'm less productive as far as working on the layout or things like this. More so now than previously, and because my cat that I used to have was always down in the train room, I'd be down there just keeping her company because she never really liked going upstairs. So that was another reason why I was always in the train room, because my cat basically lived there. I also worked in the train room. I work here, like my computer is right here for work. So I'll get some stuff done, between calls or on my break or on my lunch. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm hoping to be able to do more on the layout, get more done, and hopefully get some switches, because I think that's the one thing that's holding me back right now. I need some switches to determine some curves and where everything is kind of going to go. And then that way I can start laying track and cork and get all that sorted out. I know what I want to do and where I want to go with it, but I just need to get the measurements right. Measure twice, cut once, more or less. So, and it's going to be going into a big yard. That's where I'm going to start, with the yard and then kind of main line as well. That way, if I get my main line done, then I can just start running trains right away. So hopefully I can get that done sooner than later, but we'll see what happens. Again, I'll be at Amherst in January, so if you're going, let me know, reach out. I'll be there hanging out all weekend long. Other than that, again, see you guys on Saturday. Thanks for watching. I've got a train to catch, so the sleepy train. Bye, guys.